where'd it go? There we are.
Good morning. Can you
Good
hear me?
morning. Good morning.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Sorry I'm running momentarily late. I
No,
have
it's
gotten
fine.
through almost all the journal I'd like to pick up where sort of I left off. Boy, great stuff happening. A lot of intense stuff.
Yeah. Well, there was more this morning.
Oh,
I don't know where you're at.
okay. Well, let's start with what happened this morning, then we can go back to where's my pen?
Okay. So let me see.
Wow.
Uh,
Unbelievable.
I don't know if you read about David, Martha, Lexi, Molly.
As a matter of fact, let me I'll tell you where I am at. Oh, right here, sorry. Um, I was very engrossed in the inner dialogue with Tripp and Martha and Teresa,
Okay. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then he was smoking, and that was very interesting insight where he said you realized you were blaming on the
Yeah.
part.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I keep trying to figure out where and how is this from? What's happening here? Who is this? And I just can't seem to pinpoint it. So it was actually kind of quiet for a day and a half. And I thought, well, that even during the parts puddle, it was a
And
little
that was
quiet.
powerful that you remembered. So what an amazing thing that here I have a client that for her job she researches properties.
I know.
And
I
it's
know.
and
Oh, and I had a realization about that. I don't, did I put that in the journal?
well, the one about, went up on the roof.
Yeah, the spiral staircase. I kept staring at it and thinking, why is that so important?
Wow.
And finally, after a while, I realized I was like, oh, I've been on that stairwell. I remember going up it and down it, and then remembering that little ceremony up there. And it's like this guy wanted to kill and slaughter as many people as he could to get to some goal so that he could do his little ceremony and draw down a demon and get whatever power he was going after. I was like, oh my God, that was, kind of it's like it's not tame, but it's like compared to this morning.
Oh, okay.
So this is last night. I said, laying down to go to bed, I saw the image of a man. It was Jack, and I'm looking up at him. I'm very small. From the angle, I can see the trees in the background above his head. Behind him, I must be small. He's standing there talking outside. And then that was it the whole day. So it's the next morning. Was that last night? Or it might have even been the night before. Next morning, oh yeah, yesterday. Next morning, it was 3:43 a.m. and I thought it was more like 5 or 6. I got up and spent some time with Chris and then laid back down from some gastrointestinal problems. Yeah, that's this morning. I told Chris about the washer and dryer snafu, and he grunted angrily. What happens? Our washer and dryer them burnt out. They're 25 years old, so they're due. I smelled the motor burning, so I knew it wasn't something repairable.
Yeah, he's giving his daughter all this money, and he should.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, so I order it and it's supposed to come in, I think it was Saturday, the day he left to go see his aunt in Mariposa. And I don't, those front loader washer and dryers, they have pedestals.
Yeah, yeah.
When I went to order them, I wanted just a plain 5-inch pedestal because I wanted to be able to reach my cupboard behind it. Well, apparently it would take 5 weeks. Nobody orders that, blah, blah, blah. And so they upsold me. I'm like, well, I can't wait 5 weeks to do my laundry,
Yeah.
and I don't want to go to a laundromat because I've done that before and it's a nightmare. Anyway, so I upgraded, got the ones with the drawers because they were available. They delivered 2 days later. So they show up and the pedestals are both damaged. One is minor. And I'm thinking, well, I could live with that. But the other one, the side of it, literally, where it should be a flat corner, was bent out into a full triangle. And I kept thinking, they're like, oh, if you accept it, we'll give you a discount. And I'm thinking, no, because every time I look at it for the next 10 or 15 years, I'm going to be pissed off.
Sure.
I don't want to be pissed off doing my laundry. So they took it back. 3 or 4 days later, they delivered the new ones. Exact same problem.
Oh,
One's got a minor dent, and the other one is the exact same problem. And I'm thinking, I wonder if they brought the exact same one back.
yeah.
And then I realized, well, no, because he took the straps off it. So I was like, okay, no, I don't want this. So he left the one pedestal. I said, I'll accept that. Give me a discount. It's just a little ding, which you didn't really notice. And he set up the washing machine. And so
Yeah.
they left with the old unit, left the dryer sitting there, unhooked up. And so I call Lowe's and I say, well, here's the problem, blah, blah, blah. Well, apparently they don't have those anymore. I said, well, when do you expect them in? We don't know if they'll ever come in. And I'm like becoming perplexed. I said, forgive me. I know I'm speaking harshly. It's not your problem and it's not your fault, but understand that this is becoming a real frustration. I couldn't get what I originally wanted, and now I've had 2 deliveries and they're not satisfied yet. I've got laundry building up,
I
whatever.
almost experienced the identical thing with Lowe's.
Oh, yeah. And so they're like, well, I had to accept it as it is. And what they're going to do is come pick up the other. I said, well, how can you even match this pedestal now if they don't even make them anymore? So I said, I don't want this one. I want matching ones.
Yeah.
And so they're going to come tomorrow and pick up the pedestal, hook up the washer and dryer without. And I have to go back to Lowe's and repurchase something. They couldn't even do exchanges and handle it. So I'm telling Chris this, and he just blows up this one. He's like, what did he do? He goes, ah! Just this grunt. And so I was telling him about it. He grunted angrily. When he did that, I began to have gastrointestinal issues, which I thought, well, that's weird. I got his lunch bag and drink together and laid back down. I was laying here and I saw a man in a baseball cap pointing at me. I believe it was Jack. About 5 minutes later, I swear to God, I'm seeing those bizarre, weird alien heads. Those gray, weird, an alien from outer space that they show on TV and the news. And I'm thinking, what is that about? So I'm laying there in bed for 45 minutes. Chris went to work. I got up, sat on the toilet having a cigarette. I was hearing that strange tone again, except it wasn't as strong as the first time. I kept thinking about Jack. And then a dream that Chris had went through my head. A few weeks ago, he had laid down to take a nap and woke up full of adrenaline from a bad dream. He said he was in a field, and I think there were other people with him, but I don't recall. But there were also animals around. And then either an explosion or a bunch of shooting happened. He said he remembers that there was blood all through the air and that the air was full of blood. And I thought, wow, that's pretty vivid. Thinking about that, I'm getting the impression that I had training with firearms outside of my normal basic training and perhaps explosives. And then it crossed my mind that in Chris's dream, that whatever experience he was in, he was told that those people were animals. And so in his dream, he saw them as animals. And that went through my mind. It occurred to me that alien that I saw, perhaps it is the same thing my mind was doing, that I was told that they were aliens and that they had to be killed.
Oh,
The only thing I can think of is that it would be illegal aliens, or they said aliens meaning just people not welcome or the enemy, but they were using the word aliens. So now I can see myself pushing down a Claymore mine. And I was like, are you kidding me?
oh boy.
So my memory is backing up a bit. Jack was standing in front of us in a line. I wrote they, and later I added the / we had baseball caps on. That's when he pointed to me, and I pushed down on the Claymore mine. And I blew up a bunch of, my first thought was children, but I didn't want to accept that. And so I said, I want to say people, but my mind is saying children. I don't want to accept that it was children. I'm also reminded about the work I did with blue and how she wanted to blow up her cave. And we used a Claymore mine. You know what I mean? That thing.
yeah.
I'm also recalling that when I was in the military basic training, because I was at the beginning of the line, my last name was Avers. The beginning and the end of the line, people got to fire with machine guns. So not everybody got to do this. They put us out in the field and we fired at an old tank. I do remember having a bit of adrenaline doing it, but the stronger part of me was resistant to it. I didn't want to do it, but I did. And I remember feeling like energized, adrenaline, something. Also, the past two times that Chris has not been here at night, my parts were nervous and scared. So I sat down and showed them the gun next to my bed. I did the routine that Chris had taught me: remove the clip, slide the thing back, I don't remember what it's called, and look down and make sure there's no bullet in the chamber. And then you put it all back together. And my parts wanted to know how to make sure it was hot. So I showed them. I moved the safety on and off. Once I did that, the parts felt better. I'm sitting here right now. I'm realizing I did have weapons training, I should say, as a child. And I did kill some people with them. And I just started crying right there on the toilet this morning, really hard. I was like, oh my God. I thought, just when I think I'm done.
Yeah.
I was called Shooter 6. I
This
think
all
that's
came back.
huh?
It all came back.
This morning, yeah. I think
Oh,
it's because there was a line of children shooting and we were numbered. They go, okay, Shooter 6, and
yeah.
they'd point at you. Shooter 6 had handguns and rifles and Claymore mine and had, oh, and Clay, another part, had explosives training. I can see myself on the shooting range and explosives area practicing. This was at training camp. I'm going to put remote training camp because it was associated with that other one. But I think at a different property where they could make noise and shit. Just when I think there can't possibly be anything more, there's another horrendous memory that surfaces. Practiced on live people running through fields, illegal aliens, and I can see blood in the air and body parts in the air all over the place. Sometimes it even splattered on us, and we were so far away. I couldn't believe how far the blood and body parts would fly. It twisted my stomach and my guts up. Now, that's something that happens to Chris a lot. When he gets triggered, his stomach gets all screwed up and he can't eat. So anyway, that was all I got there, and I went and watered my GI tract, jacked up. I could hear Jack saying, "Stomach fucked up." I nodded. He said,
Oh,
he said, "Get used to it." We had to continue on with our training with this awful intestinal pain. I remember afterwards and during breaks that we were given cigarettes to smooth things over. And as I was sitting here waiting for you, I had the image I need to put in here, that I kept thinking that the children were running away from us. But I realized, no, they were running towards us. And I thought, well, why would they be running towards us? Oh, it was a trap so that we could blow them up. And then when I realized that, it was that there was like horses behind those children running through this field forest area, and they were being herded to us who had these mines set up. And when they pointed to us is when we pushed the plunger and they blew up looking at us. Just disgusting.
that's why Biden and others are so insistent upon open borders.
Yeah, men horses were behind them, herding them towards us to blow. And I kept thinking, and so this, after I had like 2 or 3 hours waiting for this, and I thought, well, let me put them on my parts map and all my graphs, and I got 2 more parts. shooter 6 and Clay.
Yeah.
And so I went through all of that and I was confused because they're like, no, it goes right here in the timeline after Sarge. And I thought, but that's before all the training camp training. I thought, well, that's weird. How would that happen? And then about an hour later, I realized, oh, something that Chris had told me. He said it's easier to kill people from a distance, that it's not quite as upsetting.
And not that's personal.
Right. And so I thought, well, okay, of course they would have us do this thing at a distance because they would do the same. We would sit there with guns and rifles and there was practice and it would be at distances. And so that was like a preliminary to test to see who would break down or who could handle it.
Yeah.
Then they took the people who could handle it, put them at the SSND, School Sisters of Notre Dame, and then had us learn the up close personal training, like first cutting the bag off the tree. And then, it's not a bag. Now it's an animal. And now it's not an animal. It's a dead human. And now it's not a dead human. It's a live human. So they slowly took us through doing that up close personal training. And so that I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So that's the last journal entry.
What state, as far as the 50 states, what state do you think this was in?
Wisconsin. Somewhere, I don't know, maybe it was even at a military base, Wisconsin. Well, no, because they'd have to have illegal aliens running through it. So
And I'm thinking
I'm
this would
thinking north of that School Sisters of Notre Dame place. For some reason, I think it was north of there. But I have no idea. But it was in Wisconsin.
that would make sense because you saw forests.
Yeah, like I'm thinking that maybe they took them off the boat, put
Yeah.
them on the beach. There's a large stretch of land, maybe someone's private land. And with the horses, they got the children to run.
Yeah.
And then maybe a half mile away is the shooting range and the explosives area.
Yeah.
So yeah, and my stomach is still jacked up. It's still jacked up right now. So
Yeah.
anyway, I put them in the PowerPoint.
Oh, yeah, we didn't. Okay.
So there they are, and then they have their own pages. So where's Sarge? Because as I'm going through here, I'm asking, I'm like, well, where does this go? And they're like, right after Sarge. So there she is. And I just copied and pasted what I read to you in there. And then Clay, I couldn't find a real picture of a girl with a claymore mind. So I chose her and I did
You couldn't find
because,
a real picture of the kid with the claymore, right? Yeah.
right? But I noticed after I chose her, she has tears coming off her eyes.
Uh,
So I thought, well, I like that picture.
yeah. Yeah.
I relate to it. So there's that. Put her on the little map part and then added them into what I realized was where is Sarge? Wait, here's Jack. So Jack comes into my life at like 5.5, which is kindergarten. Instills the file cabinet program. Did you have a chance to look at Gray's 45-minute thing?
I still have not finished it.
Okay. Well, are you on the 5-hour one?
Maybe I'm on the 5-hour one.
Well, that's good because it gives you a good lead up to it. But Emma took that 45-minute section at the end and did a separate post.
Okay.
Yeah. So Jack comes along, puts the file cabinet in my head, tests me, right? Dad does this little torture stuff. Then at about a year later, I go to School Sisters, shooter 6. They evaluate, oh, she can handle it, disassociates well.
There you go.
And then they send me to the actual school for the, Julie, Skylar, Claire, Laura, all of them get born. And then Lance and Freddie and Frank and Patty and all that training, which leads us up into going to make money off of, Sam killing people and Jason and Judy, Wendy whipping them, Donna drowning them. And then I'm back home and Charlotte starts knitting to have a distraction from thinking about it.
Yeah.
And then there's Juliet smoking and more SRA killing, right? Until finally at 9, Pearl comes up with a plan to get my mom to divorce my dad. But it's the first killers were Shooter, Six, and Clay from a distance, because you're killing people from a distance. And I kept thinking, well, don't they come after all the blade people? And they're like, no, it came first. So I added them in the chart here. That took me like 45 minutes because my brain was fried and I couldn't get it right. And I moved Sarge from this map to here because I wasn't quite 7. So I had her listed as 6 years old, but I moved her to here because it starts with Sarge. It starts with Jack, really, which is over here, and the training, and then my dad instilling programming, right? And then Jack takes over and sends me to the camp. And then we go through all the SRA. Mom divorces him, and then I have a little resting period. I joined the army because Jack did his thing, and then the whole thing starts all over again.
Yeah.
And then I meet Chris, and things calm down. I mean, the bottoms here are all from Chris or my mom getting sick.
Yeah.
But if Chris hadn't, done his bullshit, I'd be all in this upper range here. So, and, I can deal with Chris. So it wasn't, too terribly bad, which I'm thinking that these might be a little too low. Anyway, so that was kind of cool figuring that out this morning. And we'll save that. And then I put them in the, the thing, the emotional impact. I had to add them into the wounded kids area. So Shooter, 6, and Claire like at -9. And I'm like, are you sure it's not a 10? They're like, oh no, we had the distance.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, and then I took this and fed that into this thing and added them in here.
Yep.
And I realized as I went back and double checked this a couple of days ago, I had 2 extra boxes in here because I thought I copied your chart, but for some reason I added extra stuff.
That's okay.
I removed it and lined it up, and I even typed these titles wrong. I'm like, what the hell was going on in my brain when I did that? So, and then I was able to sort out different people went from different levels. And so I cleaned all that up. So, and Lindsay used to be Lamprey. She picked a new name.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay.
So, there's Lindsay.
I really like WarLynDi. That's wonderful.
Yeah. And so there was that. So I did all that a couple of hours ago. But for some reason, I want to show you.
Just an average morning, huh?
I was trying to, I don't know how to record something that's playing video. I was trying using the snip tool. I downloaded a program, couldn't figure that out.
Oh,
but this is that thing I was telling you about, the Kardashians.
Oh, you found it. If you would like, I don't, because I could record it. I have ScreenFlow. As a matter of fact, let me record it then for you. How's that?
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I couldn't.
I have to.
It's like maybe 20, 30 seconds. And this is just,
Or do you want to send me the URL and I will record it?
well, it's a whole show.
Oh, okay, okay.
All we need is like 30 seconds. So
Okay, so I'll tell you what,
I have to share.
yeah, okay.
So,
So let me see if it's going to do that. Okay, we're testing. Okay, I'm going to stop the record.
oh, and ever since I had the memories this morning, I slowed down smoking for a couple days and now I'm right back at it again.
Okay,
So
so
feeling like a failure for that.
oh, bless your heart. Well, look at the stuff that.
I know I'm cutting myself some slack and I'm just going with it for now. I know at some point I'll quit again.
Okay, so it didn't. Let me just configure again. Hold on here. Okay, configure recording. So it didn't capture the audio. I've been having to on this particular. Okay, record computer audio. Why isn't it?
Yes, I was sitting here, I finished all those charts and stuff, and I thought, well, let me see if I can figure out how to record this. And the snip tool has video record, but I don't know if just because this is copyrighted and trademarked, if it would only record a blank screen.
Okay, so let me do it one more time here. Wait, Zoom. Okay, so just let me see if I did it. So
I wonder if Zoom would. Oh, it should record it on my Zoom.
Yes, it should. Yes, it
we
should.
are recording.
Okay, so
Oh, where's my
document and yeah, no, it should be recording right now.
yeah. I didn't even think of that. I don't even see my thing here.
Yeah, so if you're recording it, the whole session, okay, it actually did.
Yeah, it's recording. Oh, shoot.
It's okay. So record. So now we'll be double safe. I think my thing is working here.
Okay.
So we're recording right now, and then when we're finished, I'll send it over through WeTransfer. How's that?
Oh, well, if I have it on here, that I don't really need
That's
that.
true.
But
Okay.
you'll have it to share with
Then I'll have it because that'll be valuable when
So they're just sitting here having dinner chatting, right? They're talking about aliens.
Remember those, you guys? This mochi? Never been a mochi girl myself. Really? It tastes like I'm eating a dead body, like chewing the skin.
Well, look at her reaction and hers.
Now, I'm actually not seeing anything on my end, which is fine. And I'm hearing the audio. I'm not seeing the visual.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so Kim says that she doesn't really have a reaction. She's just looking down at her food.
Can you replay that one more time?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. They have it blacked out on my end.
An alien, by the way. I've already told Corey that. Corey, for sure, is. But, yeah. No. There's UFOs on etchings in caves. Okay, just a question. Remember those, you guys? This mochi? Never been a mochi girl myself. Really? It tastes like I'm eating a dead body, like chewing the skin.
Did you see their reactions?
I couldn't. It's whatever's going on with the video. It's all black, but I heard the.
Yeah, well, I'll clip it out of this recording and then I can send it to you.
Wow.
But yeah, it wasn't, it was what she said got my attention.
Yeah. Who says
What
that?
really sunk home for me was the reaction of the two sisters because one laughs, right? And then the other sister goes like this, like that's her little secret.
Unbelievable.
I was blown away.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh, wait. And then gotta get out of here. I don't know. This one's not really as important. Where she goes to buy the baby goat. And I just wanted you to see this. jacket that she's got on.
Doesn't lay in bed and watch TV. Our kids are
I
running
don't
around
think this is
everywhere.
one. I don't think that's it.
Yeah, it's interesting on my end. Unless you're doing the little cursor, I can see what's going on the cursor, but the entire screen is black, so it's very interesting.
Really? Oh, so you can't see it then, but
But as you're doing the little cursor
Oh.
thing, see what's going on.
can you see this?
I can hear it though.
Oh, well, she's at this farm thing. I'll play it so it records on my Zoom. They're looking at, I mean, you have to
Wow.
see this jacket.
True would die. Right face.
Oh, thank you for the kiss. Okay.
Come here, little guy.
Hi, ow, you bit me. You can't bite me.
I want to
That's
get
not
past
right.
this
No
nonsense.
No biting. Oh,
Where you can see all the employees are wearing short sleeve shirts. It's hot out.
stop. Look
And
at
these
this
two
one.
girls are wearing black turtlenecks and black leather coats, full length. And look at all the other people around. I'll clip it out and show you. I'm like, why would you dress this way?
I find it hard to believe that 8 or 9-year-olds.
Anyway, that's enough. I'll clip it and send it to you now that I've got it on the Zoom. Crazy, just crazy. These people, they're shoving it in our face and just don't even care. I was watching this earlier. But I posted 2 more videos.
Oh, did you?
One
Wonderful.
was that very first TED. And then the next one was the video I did on Pavlov for Melissa's channel.
Now, when you say you're posting, are you posting them to all your platforms
On
now?
mine, yeah.
Wow.
Now I can't, for some reason, when I go into Odysee and I look on my channel, it'll show the videos posted in public. But when I type in my channel name into the search bar, it's non-existent. My first video will come up, but not the other 2. But somehow somebody found the next video because I think 2 people watched it or something.
Oh, good.
So Rumble seems to be fine. YouTube is
Yeah, how many people have watched the first one thus far?
on Rumble. Oh my God, almost 200 people. I'm
Oh,
shocked.
is that right, Diana?
I'm
Isn't that
shocked.
wonderful?
Yeah, on YouTube, under 10. Let me see.
Okay, well, it'll start to.
Yeah, okay.
And again, I haven't even updated my, I've just been so focused on this one
I know your state thing.
project that I'm working on.
Yeah, Rumble. So my content. Oh yeah, this one, introduction, 196 views.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And the next one, 41 people. And this was 2 days. And then one day, 14 views.
Okay, so
So people are interested.
yeah, they are.
I'm like, wow. But yeah, YouTube and Rumble and Bitchute or Odysee is a conundrum. I can't figure it out. And
I've never even been on Odysee.
Bitchute is, well, Odysee, in order to post a video, they require you to feed it through a converter program, and it converts it to their particular specifications, and then you can post it. Which I need to talk to Melissa about that because I don't think she has to do that. Maybe she does. I don't know. But I thought, well, if Rumble's kicking it, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Because my YouTube problem, I don't know if I explained to you what's going on with.
Yeah, what? So they're forcing you to chop it up into parts? Oh wait! Oh gosh! Did you hear what I just said? Little
right,
pun there.
chop it up in a part. I didn't even get that.
Yeah.
Anyway, what happened was I had a YouTube channel, and several months ago, I don't know
Oh,
what.
yes, I remember. So only one channel per year or something like that.
Right. You can't have, well, it says you can't have more than 2 channels associated with the same phone number per year. So that would indicate that I have 3, and I don't. And I have gone in and I deleted the only other one I could find because the old one I didn't use it. But I thought, well, okay, I think around December is when that year mark is up, and then I can hopefully put the whole thing up there at once. But I have to put it up in parts. When I go to my channel, the subscribe button does not light up, so nobody can subscribe. Um, so unless you know what you're looking for, you're not going to find it. I mean, I put the tag SRA, so maybe that's why those few people have found it. But yeah, it's just it won't be really live or active, I think, till around December.
Okay.
So, which is fine. Rumble seems to be doing fine. And BitChute has the same problem. They only allow, I think, 20-minute videos total for anybody. And then I got to thinking, well, maybe I should put it on X, which is Twitter, right? Do they do a whole hour long?
That I don't know. I guess you have
Oh,
to, I've never paid for any.
so okay. Well, if they,
Well, again, I just am ignorant of how.
yeah, no, I'll have to ask Melissa
It's
because
worth, I wish I would, because when I do it like a typo or something, like Facebook allows you to go in and edit the darn thing. So I actually have to delete something that I post if I see,
yeah, see, I don't do Facebook
and they limit,
any
well,
of
I'm sorry, but X limits the,
the size.
they don't allow you to cry unless you pay
Oh
for.
yeah, no. So I'm just not even, maybe I have an X account. Maybe I'll just put like little 20 or 30-minute snippets on there of beating up Ted. So I'm thinking
I'm
that might,
sorry, do you have a paid account on X?
no, no.
So I don't know if they allow, I've just never tried it, so that's a good point.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to ask Melissa because she only just puts up, now that I think about it, there's no video on there. It's just little images with a post. She does a book club on there. So
Oh, okay.
I don't know. But I think just getting YouTube going and trying to understand Odysee is I'm like, what? Because I wanted to follow myself. And even that's not working. BitChute is perfect, fine, beautiful, but Odysee and YouTube are just a hassle. And BitChute is, I don't know that I can't figure out how to follow on BitChute either. So it's just a big learning curve.
Right, on each of these. Hey, let me ask this, it's unrelated, but something you said brought to mind something else, another survivor that's gone through a lot. When you said blade, um,
Oh yeah, using the knives.
so here's what just emerged in somebody else's journal. There was a drawing of a mechanism. So let me ask you about this, because who knows what you,
Shoot, sorry. Trying
and
to
so
get the
it
volume.
almost looked like what a wood chipper would look like. Not the actual wood chipper, but the blade.
Oh, I don't know what that looks like.
And in this particular mechanism, there were scythe kind of blades.
Oh,
And this wheel thing,
yeah, just
blades,
shoot people up.
staggered, and so a drum with these different blades. And my hunch is once they turned it on, it's like a buzz saw or something. It just becomes this blur. And I think my own hunch is as they could lower it and they'd feel the wind, the victim would.
Oh,
Does that ring a bell at all?
it reminds me of something the woman I was telling you about that I watched on Emma's show, how she was talking about her family was in the juicing business and they had these underground tunnels with a railroad that went through. And if I recall, I think she talked about that they were sliced up and juiced. So I wonder if they didn't use a machine like that. but the rail cart would come by, I think, with the device, and the person would be under it, and it would just chew them up. And then I think there was an area below to collect the blood and stuff. Because I don't know how you would juice a person without cutting them up first. I'll have to find that woman. But for me, when you said blades, you know what went through my mind was I have a part called Blades, the girl that used to rollerblade, and I called her Blades. So I wonder if the part isn't called Blades, but did something else. God help me. So now that that's come up, maybe I'll have memory.
Light up another one.
I know I'm at 153 parts. I had to print them and keep them
you know,
with me. So I
talk
can...
about it's already been a rough morning, and here now I bring up this thing, and
No, that's fine. If it's there, it's there. I'd rather know it than not know it, you know.
let me ask another one. Well, I mean,
Mhm.
why not, right? Because there's now that you and others and some sonic stuff, right? And there's just so many different things that have parallels or similar. Um, anything with water and dolphins? I have a number of them. Then
No, not that I can think of.
okay. So, how about like being in a big hall with pillars and an altar up front, like a really, really big room? Like like a massive airplane hangar kind of big room, but
Oh, no,
all
when you
very,
said that, the only thing I thought of was that Himmler's castle room with the pillars and
yeah.
30, 40-foot ceilings, whatever that was.
One is just how you got that image of Camp David. All of a sudden, one has come back to her, and she says, "I don't know why, but it seems like this is, she says the U.S. Capitol." And so you wonder if, and Susan has a photograph of excavation just after the inauguration or round of Biden. There's
Really?
heavy duty excavation under the Capitol, including tunnels
Yeah,
where
I know there's tunnels under there
they're
for sure.
exposing stuff.
Yeah, the thing I remembered was when Jack had me in the programming room creating the mind files. Remember that I wrote in my journal that it was a comic book I was looking back at, and one of the pictures was of Washington, D.C. And I think they were using this comic book to program me with, because I guess maybe it's easier with comics or something. So I don't know that I was actually ever in DC, but I remember that. But I did look up, I don't know if I told you this, but Nixon was in Canada the same time the Queen was.
You had referenced.
Oh, but my entry was the Camp David, wasn't it?
You actually brought up, so you referenced it, but I'm glad we're talking about it again. You
Yeah, I
ref
did
we
I
talked
was,
about the Queen and then mentioned about Nixon, and then you looked that up. But then you said all of a sudden out of the blue, the word Camp David or something, then you remember getting on.
yeah, I haven't had much memory after that. Because, and I looked up, well, how long of a flight would that be with a helicopter? I think I don't remember exactly, but I think maybe an hour and a half. So totally doable
Yeah, yeah.
from where I was. And, whatever those mansions were, I'm pretty sure somebody had a helipad. So, oh man. Um,
Oh, yeah, keep going, keep going.
yeah, no, I don't know where to go from here other than that I updated everything
Okay.
and
Let
I
me, let me ask this. So let me
sorted out, yeah, sorted out the mind file stuff. Oh, I know what I need to show you. Let
okay,
me
yeah.
share. I started, oh, dang, it's not there. I started mapping out parts. Because I couldn't, the whiteboard software would not work the way I needed it to. So I just thought, let me just do a PowerPoint.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, no, there's that. This is the picture I took off Google that they call mind map guides. Where is it? Categories. Oh, is it lost? Oh, man. I was half asleep when I did this. It's called Lily. Where did that go? Oh, here it is. Duh. So I started here with blue
Yep.
and her splits.
Okay, that's invaluable. Yep.
She had a lot of splits
Yeah. Yeah.
to God and Michael, and then also to Dad, Grandma, and Grandpa. And then those parts split. And then at a certain point, Jack entered the scene and put these mind files in. And that's where certain people, I'm not done with it yet, but
Now that's interesting right there, Danny, because look at the long line to Jack. So the thing that
mhm.
comes to my mind is the age or chronology gap. So he
Yeah, because there was all the SRA stuff that happened first, but
Okay.
the programming, this file cabinet right here, the Lily, when you listen to Gray's thing, you'll understand. Mine is a lily. Somebody else's could be a lamp post. Somebody else's could be a Rubik's cube. But
Do they allow the kid to first choose their own image?
yeah, they test you and then they give you, for me, Jack gave me a selection of like 12 images. And I liked the lily because it was pretty. There was a lotus flower, there was a wolf, there was different things, but I liked the lily. I thought it was pretty, so I chose that. But that's when he took all the past stuff. The SRA said this is not all past, but he took the SRA stuff and connected it into the mind files.
Yeah.
So everything previous to this got reorganized and resorted and put in the mind files.
Which is another way of them ensuring that silence.
Yes,
They're going to cover
yes.
their
So it's
crime,
like a
cover their
separate,
crime.
it's like adding a new program into your 5-year-old computer that goes in and takes all the files
Yeah.
and resorts it.
Yeah.
So, and then I went up here and I was starting to add the various, this was Sarge and training camp. And from this page was, oh, Jack split off into the killer stuff, sexual stuff, and killer stuff. And this is the training with Dad. This is the training at training camp. Oh, this is kind of messed up. Oh no, it's sex because Sam did SRA sex, who split to Janet when she was raped at the training camp, and then Skylar was also raped, and then Judy was also raped on that boat. And I thought, well, I'm going to put the sexual stuff. It seemed to make sense when I was doing it. And then I stopped. I think this was Saturday or Sunday. And Chris got home and I just I'd been working on it like 5 hours. That's enough for today. And I just haven't gotten back to it. But at some point, I need to put these images in the beetles, the humming or the bee, butterfly, hummingbird, and the bird of prey. And I figured out, I did close that. I sat down and thought, well, who is who? So Taz is the bird of prey. Fiona, which I think her real name might be Lily. She's the Lily, the file cabinet, the file clerk. But I don't know if it's two different parts. Tanya was the prison guard. Pins, it occurred to me, right, is the bee who would sting you and she
Okay.
would get stung with needles,
Yep.
right? Stretch are the vines
Yeah.
between, here, let me shrink this. Wow. I'm glad I got this new monitor. I can put more than one thing up at a time. So I'll show you the vines here. These are vines, and each part is a flower on the vine, because you get the main lily. They were just parts before, but this reorganized everything and made the connections or vines of the flower,
Yeah.
and each part is its own flower, whether it's going to be pollinated or killed off by beetles, right? You start talking, we're going to kill you off,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? You'll commit suicide. Or if we want you to do a job, we're going to send someone to come pollinate this particular killer to do a job,
Yeah.
right? So Tasmania, well, I have to put Wizzy in here. Where
You know,
did
this certainly gives a new twist to the phrase, the birds and the bees.
yeah. So you got, so Stretch is the vines, the telephone line connecting them all. Juliet is the communication director. She sends a message to this part to activate. You need to go into, or you need to shut up and go back into the prison.
And where on the chart, sorry, can you show me on the picture?
Here's Juliet.
There we are. Okay.
So
Okay.
she's the communications director. And because
Yeah.
they're vines, everything, she can reach anything. It's like the internet, right? Through these phone lines and these vines.
When you, okay, that would be good on that picture to have the names.
Oh, I will at some
Yeah,
point. There's just
okay.
so much on there.
Yeah, I know.
Jack is basically
I
the,
just gave you something else to do. You
yeah,
know.
no, I was going to do that anyway. Jack is the commander. Gumby, I don't, why do I have lots of soldiers, so I don't know why I put just
Here's, you
one.
know, like you got nothing else to do, but it'd be very interesting then for you to link so somebody could click or you could click when you're demonstrating or, you know, as
Oh
you're
yeah, that this
do a
box.
hyperlink where you just click on the picture and it goes to their story
Oh yeah,
for
okay.
presentation purposes. That might be.
Yeah. So Gumby activate, I think Gumby was the firewall because he was the last part that got upgrade to the file cabinet stuff. So I think he's a firewall to access the soldiers and the killers, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sarge does operations. Gerald handles torture. He tortures others because that was my SRA. Greta is the one that is the magic firewall, the file. I guess they are the file folder, and then the files inside, are for magic. David, or my dad, activates the pollination. See, I have David right here, right? So all Siggy has to do is the commander will contact David, who will pollinate whatever part needs to be pollinated.
Yeah.
Kitten activates the sex things, which I'm wondering if it's not Caroline, Jackie, who, because she was the first sexual part, but for some reason I'm thinking it's Kitten. BB are the cops who run around monitoring everything.
Well, I was just thinking
Beatles.
Kitten, and it may be that because once you got old enough, then Kitten also acts as that firewall.
Yeah, something like that.
Either she herself can step in or she has the access to,
Yeah. And
part.
then Wizzy is the one that creates the cloud of confusion around everything. So technically, Wizzy should be over here.
I'm glad we're doing this. I'm glad
David should be over here, but
Good.
the map doesn't make sense with them there. So I'm thinking that that's there because she was the first taught magic.
Well, you may want to, who knows what's going to connect for you, but there may be, so this would be interesting to
See, I'm
think.
thinking this is the ones that led me to, I haven't finished this line yet, but this is the one that led me to the New Age, to Reiki, Buddhism, and then that demonic presence that wanted me to accept it. Right. So that line will stop right there, but Wizzy is like the gatekeeper for it.
That
Or
it makes sense that as you're describing it, I'm kind of like the coach on the field. I'm thinking big. You're doing perfect, right? But me, it's always me versus the perp coach trying to think what they did, and it makes sense. All of this, if those evil perps like Jack. Okay, so he allowed your dad to establish the foundational like building a building and stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah, the
how
foundations
about
were there.
we gotta get this kid easily dissociative.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they're gonna take, so let me ask if this sort of resonates, because then this would speak to exactly here you moved Wizzy over there and then back. Because it would make sense that these perps, being as evil as they are, Jack, he knows he can start with certain key or core parts,
Uh-huh. Because
certain
he can
categories.
access all this.
There you go, certain categories. So to me, maybe the sense how you moved Wizzy up and back. So maybe does it feel like
What she does have two spots. I think some of these, see, they're in the red, right? This list is the mind file, the file folder inside of the file cabinet, but there's only these programs. So I was like, well, Gerald, Greta, and David are definitely in here.
yeah.
And where was it? Sarge is in here. And
Diana, would it seem like, okay, so let's say,
the kitten.
I hate to even use this phrase, but just kind of go like, if I'm an evil perp, meaning the way my mind works, I have to strategize. How do they think? And so they know your dad and grandparents have been perping on you since the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Now Jack's going to step in. So where's he going to start? He's going to ask them who are some of the key. So he's going to start there. So it may be.
Well, I think it comes from inside of that. When you listen to Gray's that little, go to the 45-minute thing. It pretty much explains it.
Okay, I got you. Because I'm thinking maybe it would make sense.
The program makes you choose your file image, select colors, and you can organize it however simply or complexly as you want to.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure Gray doesn't play the whole thing. He said, because it's dangerous and I won't play the whole thing and I'm not making it available, which is fine. But I wonder what the guided imagery within that whole thing is. Because there's got to be a point where you'll hear her say, you'll take every memory you've ever had and place it in the mind file.
Yeah.
In that moment when you're 5 or 7 or 12 or whatever age, and in the lead up to that, Gray talks about they like to get you before a certain age, which I think is 9, maybe 6, I don't remember. So when you're in that programming right here, your mind takes every memory you've ever had and sorts it and places it in there.
Okay, there you go.
Right. So this, all of this are just files inside of here. Period. Everything.
Which means they're behind firewalls, basically.
Yeah, past, present, and future. Because Gray was talking about may have created a part that they don't plan on activating until down the road. So it doesn't have anything in it yet, but it's sitting there waiting.
It'd be like a beetle.
Yeah, and I thought, well, that would be like Dad with his pollination, or whoever your handler is comes in and
Yeah.
pollinates it when it's time to activate.
Yeah.
Or like for me, if Mom had not divorced Dad and took us to Iowa, I may have at 14 years old gotten this particular pollination, and then at 18 gotten more, and at
Yeah.
25 you get more. I think their trajectory for me was to be some sort of, I don't know if you want to say the word spy, but I was certainly taught to kill and to seduce men and have sex with them and to be able to kill.
Yeah.
So whatever job they would have put me in, or if I was being set up to be a patsy to ultimately kill some player down the road, and they could point and say, look at her, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, and put me in jail.
Yeah.
Because after I was done with that, I watched the 45-minute thing again. And he's like, you have no idea how many sleepers are out there on the planet right now. And it dawned on me, oh my God, that's what I was until I started doing this. I was a sleeper. Because they could come along, do a hand signal, take me to some room, put a program on me, give me instructions, and then a year down the road or 5 years down the road, I'm an active shooter shooting up school children or something, which wouldn't be a big deal because that's what I did at training camp.
Right there is very invaluable for you to speak to. I'm glad you're recording this right now.
Yeah, so
That makes sense.
because Gray believes that man in the Colorado shooting with the Batman movie,
Yeah.
that because he was a student of a neuroscientist, and Gray is convinced that he was programmed and a sleeper. And he said when he got caught, they caught him with a gun, pulling the trigger over and over and over again, trying to kill himself, but he couldn't. And that's why he wound up being tried and put in jail and is labeled a nutcase. But Gray feels like he was a student. His mentor was his neuroscientist teacher. And I thought, well, that makes total sense. Right? Let's say something happens and some Mason gets wind of his buddy let slip X, Y, and Z. Well, that's a big deal. We need to take that person out. Just this random person that lives in. Well, let's activate this little sleeper guy over here who has quote unquote mental problems.
Yeah.
And we'll activate him to shoot the little Mason in town so that nothing spreads. And so that little sleeper is now used up, done, put away, and finished. And they wait for the next incident and then activate another sleeper to take care of another problem in bumfucked Egypt. You know what I mean? And then the higher level sleepers, which I think is like what Gray and Nathan Reynolds were. I don't know about Gray in particular, but Nathan Reynolds sure sounds like one. He was like beyond Delta Force. And I wonder if Chris wasn't getting prepped and ready for that, because he said if he had stayed in, he would have gone to Delta Force. And the only reason he didn't, he said, because he was sitting in the barracks and there was some family day, and he was sitting in his barracks room window smoking a cigarette, looking out over this picnic or something that all the soldiers had their wives and kids and they were having a picnic. And he said he just got this feeling, this longing that he wanted a wife and family. And that's when he decided to get out. And they made him the driver for a colonel for the last year, which basically, when you talk to him about the position, he was really this colonel's bodyguard. So they could have taken him anywhere and done anything with him. So God knows if Chris is a sleeper. I think any one of us that have had this programming could be a sleeper, and that would be anyone that has gone through any of these GATE programs or those special schools, TAG, GATE, as children to do something in particular. Maybe it's just to go to, this particular business and distract the owner so that you can go steal records out of his file cabinet or something. You know what I mean? And then there's people like me trained to kill and trained to be sexual, to take out random mid-level, I'm imagining, business people, like in Milwaukee. That's what I was doing, assassinating mid-level, what I would call mid-level, but they were millionaires, mid-level businessmen that were competition to Masons. And then you get the next level, which would be like Nathan Reynolds and maybe Gray. I'm sure there's all sorts of levels for all the different jobs and secret operations and espionage and all that.
Diana, did I mention about the other client that, as you're describing it, right? You guys all the kids are being put through stuff, training. Did I mention it? Maybe I did, where she remembers being trained and actually giving an injection near the eye.
Oh, I vaguely remember you saying that.
Where, it's so this kid seduce. So basically you got pedophiles, right? So the pedophile politicians, pedophile whoever. Okay, so the reality is you've got adults that are going to perp on these kids. So these
Oh
kids,
my God, John, I just made a connection. Have
They
you
talk-
ever seen a video online called the Black Eyed Club?
how do you know that's where I'm going? I'm telling you, I got the
An
explanation.
injection in the eye, because I saw the thing where
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I did the video on the Black Eye Club, but I cut a part out because the guy was talking about reptilians and they're putting reptilian DNA or something, and it turns people into reptilians, whatever. And Alan strongly thought the whole reptilian thing was bullshit and a psyop. But they're putting something in their eye that's screwing them up, and there's a little worm in there.
Okay, or maybe a biochip at that point.
Something. But the thing I saw was like a tiny little, I don't even know if it was microscopic. It was like maybe the size of a half of a pea, a worm, maybe 2 or 3 millimeters long, that was removed from someone, and they showed it. And so I'm thinking maybe this injection puts it in there, and that's what caused, and the worm gets in their brain, and maybe there's a chip in the worm. Something.
Or maybe the story about the worm is true, but maybe they're using that to cover what really is. But
Yeah,
she
whatever
remembers.
technology, because nanotechnology,
Yeah.
you can inject that in there, and then the nanotechnology will come together and create a little being, a little creature or machine or something.
There we go. Because
maybe that's the worm.
she was getting these memories of holding something and, so seducing the pedophile. It's laying there, and she then has this injection, has this syringe. And so she was practiced to be able to hit a certain spot in the eye.
The actual eye or the eye socket?
Or the eye socket around the eye.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so exactly the Black Eye Club that we're talking about. Well, she had never heard of the Black Eye Club.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah.
And so then she starts to look at these different pictures, meaning in between.
Politicians, sports people, actors, everybody.
So she realizes that, she was actively, because I saw one where there's a couple of little dots. So apparently there was a repeated thing, and she remembers one incident behind a two-way mirror where the intended target, she missed it, and now he's, accosting her. And so the guy behind the mirror has to come in and slice the guy's throat.
Oh, oh,
So, it wasn't successful. She gets reprimanded for this.
right.
So,
I mean, my goodness, John, we need to have a Zoom with like 50 people and just having one subject. Can you
Yeah.
imagine all the input we would get from that?
Yeah.
I mean, because you're just one guy with a limited number of clients, and we're putting all this together.
well, maybe that's going to be part of your role as well, right? Gathering.
I'm thinking, isn't that, well, it's kind of what Gray is doing, is creating a database. Not that he's ever gonna not that people would even want to be on camera, but he's got the database. I mean, maybe not the database, but a database with people, and so does Emma. But can you imagine what we could do if everybody was brave enough to just say, screw Zoom, we know you're watching us.
No,
We're
seriously.
going to talk about it. We're going to expose you.
Yeah.
Maybe, who knows? But yeah, each person's gonna, like, let's say someone chose a Rubik's Cube because they're mathematically inclined. They're going to put all their files in a gazillion different cubes. Gray talked about one mind file that was like cubes that was 13 by 13 by 13 cubes. So it will multiply that together. How many parts is that? I mean, that's somebody with a million different things they could do.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Let me get my calculator here. When he said that, it was like, I was just kind of taken aback. I was like, are you kidding me? So 13 times 13 times 13. That's 2,197 in one person. I have this Lily and I'm one person and I'm already at 153.
Yeah.
So I wonder what your Jane, Mary, or was her name Judy, Mary? Or
Yeah.
Jill, yeah.
She had
250.
Yeah, over 250 parts that I counted up.
Yeah. So God knows what else is in there. And my stomach is still in a knot. Thinking, geez, how deep does this rabbit hole go in my head? But I've got to find it all.
Okay, Diana, if you don't mind, let me shift subjects just for a moment based upon it. I don't know about your stomach being a nut.
Yeah.
Can we go back to the journal? Because I want to look at the one that I know. Okay, about Trip.
Oh, shoot, wrong one.
That's okay. Trip being upset at your mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm just going to throw this out. You guys do some processing, because ultimately, part of the process of coming to terms with what is true, you kind of go with what is, and after the intensity of the venting, right, then it'll be able to sift out.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like going through the valley of the shadow of death, the very dark night of the soul, the difficult things. It was going on in the book of Job. It's only after being able to be honest, with the guttural feelings, the intensity, that then we're able to sift out and figure out what's true. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. When I first get the memory, I generally have deep, deep sadness. And I'm like, okay, well, that means there's deep, deep rage under there.
Good for you. Perfect.
Then
Okay.
the next day I'll beat on Ted.
And that's going to be invaluable for you to share with your viewers, right? What you just connected with, that under the sadness
I
is
just
the
didn't
rage.
do it today because I thought my stomach's screwed up. I don't want to aggravate it anymore.
But you know what? It may actually help it. So it's going to be counterintuitive, but even if you get out there and just kind of tap it a little bit,
Okay. All
just
right.
be talking as you're tapping it. So stand in front of good old Ted And even the fact that I hate you, damn you for, look at this, I'm here with my stomach all in a knot, and damn you for making me do these stupid Claymore mines, and damn. So what it may do, it's kind
Shake
of
it
almost
up.
counterintuitive, but it may release it because
Okay.
now,
Because you're talking about it, I'm getting more little pains.
okay, so what'll happen is it'll increase for a moment, but the right, all the emotions are cramping all your intestines up.
Okay, yeah. See, because I kept thinking, well, when we're done, I'm just gonna sit and watch TV. My sick part wants to come out and just be a blob.
Yeah,
But
but
it's
it'll
better if I
actually
did that.
release as you can. So right now it's absorbing really all the anger.
Okay. All
So your
right. Well,
stomach's
I'll
in a
do that
knot.
when we're done.
So you will loosen all the knots so I would just stand in front of Ted with the bat and just start tapping and verbalizing, damn you for, and
Yeah.
then you might find, and try to tap the degree of pain you're feeling, let them know how you feel about it. You're the one with all the stupid pain. They need to feel pain. So whack Ted right where you're hurting right now, whack them, make them feel it. And you're going to transfer that. And before you know it, you're
Okay.
probably going to start to have that
I'm
energy.
glad we brought that up then. Yeah, because I kept thinking, well, just chill. And as we
Yeah,
talked
okay,
about,
right. That makes sense. That's
no,
exactly
that's my part sick that wants to take over because I'm sick. I don't.
right, understandably. That's right. But this, as a matter of fact, that'll probably be the way to do it. So stand in front of Ted with the baseball bat and tap where it hurts you, make them start to feel it. So it's almost like subconsciously you're going to give them back. So you
Yeah,
let,
yeah, I get it. I get
there we
it.
go. There we go. Okay, now, so that'll be really important. As a matter of fact, another client, exactly that same thing. She was experiencing some of the body memories. And I just said, wherever you're hurting, go take that bat and start tapping the place on Ted.
Oh, she's got
Make them
a
feel it. You're just going to do it in a very talking, normal tone, but eventually you're going to find that.
Yeah.
Okay, now, so even for her, when she's feeling, the effects of being gang raped, I said the exact same thing, right? It feels for her right now like
Yeah,
period.
the beat on their dick is what I like to
There
do.
we go. There we go. Now, here's an interesting thought that you just kind of go with it because it doesn't, everything you said, everything you've written down, perfect, right? But it's one of those visceral things, exactly like the book Job, that I have an unsent letter. So I think it's going to be fairly similar in here. Okay, so it's really just tapping into right brain. So you have a left brain explanation, which is exactly spot on as you were talking to Trip, trying to help him understand about your mom. But part of me wants to say this, and it's not going to contradict, right? So that's why we're just kind of going with both hemispheres.
Yeah, yeah.
But what I would say is this, everything you said left to Trip was spot on and it's perfect left brain. Now we're going to connect right brain though.
And
And
that's what the
very
emotional
similar
side.
with your mom. It's going to be very similar to how somebody processes having a friend or family member commit suicide. That the trickiest thing in the world for someone to be able to survive, as it were, suicide, meaning the people left behind,
Uh-huh.
is they think one cancels out the other because there's a part of them that's really angry with the person.
Yeah, yeah.
And you just have to let both be and let each work it through, and
Yeah, because
then they'll be able to accept it.
as you're talking about it, I realized that Trip doesn't feel right about being angry at mom. He
Yeah,
is
I would say he needs a session, and everybody needs to be okay that
because he
whatever's going to come out isn't going to negate or cancel all the other aspects that's true about your mom.
right.
It's one component that is
I was
true.
just thinking I don't want her in heaven to feel it.
No, she won't. As a matter of fact, here's my hunch. Here's my hunch that maybe she arranged with the Lord for us to talk about this because she knows there's
But
a blockage
yeah.
and that she's rooting for you guys. So her place of endearment in your heart, everything will still remain, but in order to get from here to there where it's really then pure, I think you're going to have to do, pardon the pun, a trip into the realm of anger is just going to get it out.
Yeah.
Be like a parent, let's
When
say
I
a
did
teenage
beat on Ted, when Tripp beat on Ted,
Yeah.
he beat on the ones that buried him, not on mom.
Okay, but hold on, but ready? This is so I don't want you to get freaked out about that, right? Because what it's not going to do is we're not taking mom down from the place of endearment that you have.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
There you go. It's going to make it all the more
It's gonna release it.
there. Okay, so it would be like the parents of a 16-year-old. The 16-year-old kills themselves or kills him or herself. So after the funeral and everything, what I would recommend to those parents is go out to the graveside. Let's pretend they can actually be alone and not, and you're gonna have to, for a moment, allow yourself to beat on that ground and tell your kid how angry you are.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause
That,
I'm so
right? All
pissed
that,
off at my mom, just me. During COVID, when I was up there with her, I had her convinced to not take a shot. She was in full agreement. No, no shots. She goes to live with Angie and winds up with 4. And I'm like, how
there you
do
go. Okay, isn't that right? There you go. That's a
you-
perfect. Those two stem from the same stinking place. Now here's what's very interesting. Okay, and all of it's true at the same time. That's
Yeah.
why it's really important to give yourself permission to tap into every facet, and you have, except this last piece, and it really then is going to allow you in a much more genuine and true sense to tap in the love that you have for your mom. So you're going to have to let this stuff out. So your mother finally, and it's like with my kids, they have to be able to be angry with me. It's basically like this, Dad, why the hell didn't you wake up earlier? And they have a point.
Yeah.
And so correct. Like, why didn't I? So the fact that your mom finally woke up,
Yeah.
the question is, why didn't she wake up? So she had it within her, and it really came down to this. Now, and it doesn't detract or take away the fact that she did it. I finally did it, but after 27 years. So I have to accept the blame for not waking up earlier.
And the child needed it.
There you go. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's just that normal thing, that same process, that fear. It was really fear that your mom hadn't confronted earlier. Now, in a way, right? And the empathy is still there. She paid her own price for being willfully naive, and she was being drugged. But during those times that she was lucid, and that's where Tripp, basically, it's going to be normalizing Tripp and saying he's got a point. And so
Yeah.
just let it out, knowing that it's not going to detract from the other aspect right now. In the moment, you won't feel it. Or you won't feel about any of the endearing things, but he's got a point. It has to come out. Once the dust settles,
Yeah.
then everything else will come back, but it will be more pure as far as your care and concern for your mom.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, I'll do that. So Trip and the Shooter 6 and Clay. I'll do that when we're done with our session.
And this is going to be super healing for Tripp because it's going to be that last piece of validation that he needs. And again, it'll feel like as he's doing that, that everything else crumbles about your mom, but it's not true.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just kind of we shift everything that's true about your mom. We shift that over. It's going to be him and his feelings, and one is not going to negate the other. That's the key right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's true for all my parts then, really,
Correct.
because
Correct.
after Jackie's little incident at 3 years old, being raped by a jackass. I mean, how could I mean, I had to have sutures inside of my vagina. You know what I mean? How could she not?
See there. Oh my gosh.
I mean, the doctor was coming and giving me shots, and
He was a perp doctor, obviously.
Yeah, how could she, and dad would say, oh, well, whatever. Or the incident in Three Lakes where I was raped and the next morning there was blood in my underwear.
Here might be a phrase to prime that pump. And again, it's just coming to terms with what is true, just getting it out. Maybe a phrase such as this. You did it then, why didn't you, or you finally did, meaning she finally left. So she had it within her. So the question is, when there was that kind of proof in her face, why didn't you leave sooner rather than later? You had it within you. Okay, that's going to be that right brain visceral stuff to connect it. Out will come Trip. He's going to, a number of parts, right? They're going to tap into that anger. You're going to get it all out, and then you'll be able to hold much more purely and endearingly, if those are words,
Yeah.
the relationship you have with your mother.
You've
Your
got, I
mother,
think all the parts inside right now are like want to whack at my mom now.
there we go.
So
And I believe your mom knows it and wants it for you, just like my eyes have been open to what I want my kids to get in touch with that anger because I want to be able to validate their intuition so I can own it so they can be free. I believe that's what your mother and the Lord are doing right now. Because she knows that the relationship you'll be able to have with her is going to be much more.
a cleaner.
There you go. They're at well put, well put. So it really is.
Yeah,
This
it
is
won't be so polluted and muddy. Yeah. Okay.
huh.
Wow. That's a lot for one day. Um, yeah, holy cow.
I'm glad I saw that and brought that up.
I
'Cause-
feel drained, I'll tell you, but I'll go out there and do that for sure when we're done.
okay.
I don't know what else to go over. I'm like, we got 20 minutes. And I'm
Well,
like,
let me ask. I mean, you know me. I'll keep going.
yeah,
But
please do. I
you
mean,
feel like you want to stop at this point and go do that, or do you want to keep talking? I'm fine either way.
oh, I guess, yeah, I would only,
You go with how you feel because, well, you know me, I want to make sure.
yeah, I guess I'll go whack on them for 5 or 10 minutes and then we'll have 10 minutes left or whatever.
Okay, you want to do that? You want to take a
Can
little
I
10
take
minute
my
break?
phone with me or what do you want to do?
Well, okay, that's even better.
Let this
You know
run.
what? As you're walking out there, I'll go use the washroom for you real fast. How's that?
Okay. And then you call me and we can FaceTime, I guess.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll end this. Is that correct?
Um,
Or do you want to keep this going?
I'll leave it running because maybe you'll have something to say afterwards or whatever.
Okay, so you're going to leave the computer right there, and then I'll call you in about
Yeah, and we'll
4
do
minutes.
both. Yeah, we'll just let this.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'll call you.
Okay.
By the way, if you watch it, you're doing an excellent job. I hear it in the background. Good. I don't know if I want to interrupt right now. You're doing an excellent job. You know what? I'm going to risk not interrupting right now. Well, maybe I will. Okay. Well, you're doing an excellent job. I just hung up because I hear you. You're doing an excellent job, Diana. Diana, if you can hear me, you just keep going. You're doing an excellent job. For sure. This stuff is so heinous that they put you through. Good, good. You're doing an excellent job. Look at how hard you're hitting that. If you're going back to watch this, the fact that your intestines were all in knots, you're working that through. For me to be able to hear it is, you're hitting it hard. And you're connecting the dots. You're doing invaluable work. They put you through a living hell. And right now, as you're out venting, and there we go. Good for you. There you go. I've been hearing it. Good for you, Diana. Good for you.
No.
Let it come out. Let it come out of your mouth. Good. She was wrong. It doesn't make her bad, but she was wrong. She could have stopped it sooner. To say it. Why didn't you stop it sooner? No child has her vagina ripped open.
When I was 4 weeks old.
Yeah. Yep. She should have stopped it sooner. She turned a blind eye at first. Yep. It's the truth. It's the truth. Wow.
I was waiting for us to connect. I had hit him some and I had gas come out of me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, you'll hear on the yep. Do it. Good. Just have to get it out. That's been inside you for a long time. You've been holding on to that truth. She had all the indications for years that you guys were being perped on.
Did. I hate to say this, but I'm glad she died when she did because I don't think I would have remembered.
Yep.
She was still alive.
Yeah.
I'm sorry she died, but
Well, she needs to know this truth. Okay, how much more information should she have had in front of her face?
no, so much. I mean, I had to have been gone for days at a time sometime.
There.
Days at a time. What mother doesn't get upset, wonder what's going on.
There. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Then I come back all fucked up.
Yep.
Always the doctor.
Yep.
Always the doctor.
She didn't want to see it. You make her see it now. There. She should have protected you. That's right. That's right. Your sisters as well. Who doesn't notice three daughters being perped on, and she didn't see this? And how about when the boys put you in that hole in the ground? And she didn't protect you.
And I told her point blank.
Yep. You didn't want to see it. So she sacrificed you guys. Her own fear. You went through all those years when you were young because of that. She could have done what she did when you were older. She could have done that. She could have left. Good for you.
Tears are subsiding.
Okay.
I mean, tiny blow up.
Yep.
How many children? How many people did I kill? You're fucking blind.
There. That's right. There. It's true. It's true.
Perpetuate fucking insanity.
Yep. What is, did Tripp have a chance to say what he needs to say? There you go. Because he's right. He's exactly right. Everything he has felt has been 100% correct.
It's stupid.
Yep. Good. He is exactly correct. That doesn't make your mom bad, but it makes her wrong. She was wrong. And that's what he has sensed all those years. So he's correct. Tell her what she was wrong for. Tell her what she was wrong for. You're doing a good job. Right. He needs to verbalize. What was she wrong for?
Wrong for taking her side.
Yep.
Listen to me.
Yep. There you go. Yep.
They're more important than me.
There.
More important than all of us.
And she sacrificed all her 3 daughters. There you go. There you go.
They never talk about it.
It was more. Why didn't she leave him then? She could have left him then. She waited. She waited.
Too long.
That's right.
Waited way too long. How fucked up you are.
Yep.
I don't understand.
Yep.
All excuses.
So-
Oh, why?
Okay, hit her each time for an excuse. What is she saying?
It.
Oh yeah. There you go. Good. That's been in there for years, Diana. There you go. Yep.
Seventies. Oh, the 80s.
Yep. Yep. Boy, good. That's okay. All right. You stop when you need to, but I tell you what, good. This is truth that's been pent up inside of you for all those years, including that stupid building, that meatpacking plant. I mean, like, what the hell?
But neat for your big God.
Unbelievable. When they pushed that little girl in the grinder thing,
to chop her up.
Unbelievable.
It's awful. Yeah, I think I'm good for now.
There we go. There we go. Okay. Well done, especially for that you've been in pain.
It's still there, just not all of it anymore.
Yeah.
Some of the I had some gas come out.
Okay, we'll go ahead and hang up here and we'll continue. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think Tripp's got more to say, but
There we go.
it's okay.
What you'll find, Diana, when you go back and watch this, I went to the washroom, came back, and you were all there. You go, and you were all ready.
Yeah, because I started crying,
Yes.
just thinking about it, and I was
There you
like,
go.
"Well, no, the tears is rage, so get started."
So I was talking to you because I put a call in, but I was hearing you, and you'll hear me because I'm dialoguing with you as you're out there. And because I heard you going for it, I thought, well, I don't know if I want to interrupt you. And then I thought, well, I'll put a call in, and then you called. So you'll hear I
Well, I'm
talked.
glad because I needed the guidance. I wouldn't have gone there otherwise. Because I could hear her. Well, you remember as a kid I was neglected and I went through X, Y, and Z, and your dad drugged me and your dad programmed me and your dad this and that and this and that. But still,
There. That's
she
right.
knew. She knew. He may have turned it off temporarily, but at some point she came out of it. She's talking to her girlfriend about stuff. She's,
Well done.
Thanks. I'm fried.
Imagine. Well, a lot of important truth came out when you're doing that.
Yeah. Just keep wondering what else is there. My goodness. I was talking to Melissa yesterday and I said, I think I'm at the end. A couple quiet days. No, there's more. You were shooting in people and blowing them up too. Great. It's still hard for me to, I guess it's Martha, the part that doesn't want to believe it. My mom part saying, well, who the hell are you? You're no spy. This couldn't have possibly happened. This couldn't have, and I'm like, but it did. I'm going to talk to my friend Joe again, but I asked him, I said, do you remember me being gone for entire weekends and whatever? And I don't know that he even really noticed because he was so focused on, flirting with and trying to get Angie's attention, who he told me that he feels like she was grooming him sexually in the basement. And I never said that to her, but I forgot to tell you.
Yeah.
Angie, we had a conversation. It was like maybe it was before 4th of July, and she had watched Dr. Romney with the psychopathic personality and stuff. And I somehow was able to slide in there. I said, so, think about some of the things that Dad did, opening up the cupboard and smashing canned goods and stuff. And she corrected me. She goes, no, he didn't smash. I said, think about the power it takes to smash and open a canned good. She goes, no, he didn't. He used a can opener and then he smashed them. I said, okay, well, think about the personality that it takes to do that. I said, think about the personality. I said, you've learned all this from Dr. Romney. I said, so I was trying to say, reevaluate your thoughts about Dad. And she just was, nah. And then we didn't talk for like a week. And I thought, oh, she must have just got busy or whatever. And she sends me this text a week later and says, well, something, are you ghosting me? Why are you ghosting me? I'm here. I'll read it to you. I was like, what? And I realized I had my ringer off for days because I took a nap and forgot to turn it on days before. But she goes, hey, not sure why you are ghosting me other than it has to do with dad. If I could take away all the pain and hurt you endured, I would, but I just don't know what I can say or do to help. What I do know is Dwayne, which is a childhood friend of Joe's, is not a reliable source and I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. I also told Joe to not bother me anymore. And he tried to blame you for it. So now she's trying to disrupt my relationship with Joe. I love you and appreciate you being there for me with the Ray saga. Please let me know what I can do. And I just said, sorry, I had my ringer off. Chris is sleeping. Had the phone face down. I'm not ghosting you. And I forgot all about that conversation, frankly. I said, but thanks for the empathy. And I'm not even thinking about Joe or Dwayne. And then I asked her how her time went with her girlfriend over the holidays. And so we went back to superficial land. But yeah, so whatever you want to call it, Disneyland, whatever. See, because Joe is just certain that he and Angie would sit around kissing at that young age. And he just swears it up and down. And Angie's like, there's no way. I remember who my first boyfriend was. I remember I was 16. I remember.
She remembers. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the safe stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, Joe told me that Joe has a brother, Bob. And apparently somebody took a videotape of Angie and Joe kissing in the basement. And that Dwayne saw the video and was telling Joe about it. And so Joe told me, and I told her, and she just lost her mind. And I'm like, and then her comeback was, well, they didn't even have camcorders back in the 70s like that, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, somebody had something. Why would he make that up? So that's why she was saying he's not a reliable source of information. And Angie just swears up and down that Dwayne, who was 16 at the time, had an affair with my mom. Or no. Yeah, because I was 11, Angie would be 13. She said, oh my God, yeah, Diana, he would sleep in the bedroom with her at night. This was when my parents were divorced and separated and getting divorced. And I said, I asked Joe about that. And Joe called Dwayne. And Dwayne said, no way. He was just there because our mom was scared and whatever. So I'm like, I don't know what to believe about that, but I just don't know that my mom would go there. I don't. I mean, maybe he seduced her and she succumbed, but I don't see her as a predator like that. I don't. Maybe she is. I don't think so.
Well, and once you're dealing with an older teenager, and this may sound funny, but as I work with different guys, it really depends. I mean, part of on the more mild end, there's nothing mild about it, but at the same time, the reality is look at different cultures around the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people get married at 12 and shit. I mean,
technically, think about Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus, right? In this day and age in our culture, Joseph would have been arrested as a sex offender.
oh, really? I had no idea.
She was anywhere between 13 to 15.
Oh, and he was an adult then.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it's very interesting to think through. But the difference is the issue of character. So every now and then, like some of the guys in my group would reference that. And I said, yeah. I said, okay, culture aside, I said, let's talk about Joseph's character. I said, if any of you guys want to go in that direction, the question is this. With the young person that you were busted with, or the reason you did time, did you plan on marrying her, treating her like a princess and staying with her the rest of your life?
Right. Yeah. Big difference.
Yeah, that shuts their mouth. I said, Joseph did because he truly loved her. So I said, if you want to go cultural, okay, we'll do that. But now let's look at character. Can you match the character of Joseph?
Yeah, well, if my mom did have sex with me, I mean, Angie's just adamant about it. She said she was pissed off about it, that Dwayne would sleep in the bedroom with her at night. I said, I don't remember any of that, but
Yeah.
I was too
But
disassociated to remember
if
any
a
of it.
woman is vulnerable and she's emotionally immature, I could see how 16
I
years.
can too, but I don't know. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can't talk to Joe down the road and do a conference call with Dwayne and just see if he stutters and stammers when I ask him about her, if he smoothly says no, no, this is what occurred. Because Angie could be manufacturing stuff in her mind to cover, you know what I mean? Because she treated mom really badly in this. So she has an excuse to hate mom because mom did this bad thing. Then she doesn't have to face the other stuff. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know.
And it may be that the trip in her is trying to get through to Angie and she's not wanting to, so she's displacing it.
Something, yeah, I don't know. And it could be true. I don't know. But I just know that my mom, once we moved to Iowa, she dated no one for literally 20 years. And then after that, she dated one guy for a few months. And then another 10 or 15 years went by, and she met her second pedophile husband. So it's hard for me to, she just wasn't sexual like that.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
So I'm like, well, if that was the case, then why wasn't she fooling around all those years?
Mhm, mhm.
I mean, I don't know. Anyway, but do you need to go for your next person?
Well, well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll work on that some more because there's more in there. But I do feel better.
So, Diane, that'll be an important, that could be a separate program, a separate episode in and of itself. Because what you just did is really key in the grief and loss process, coming to terms with it. And I think right there is where people get stuck, and that can lead to the quote unquote cult allegiance, right? It's just placing responsibility where it belongs. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
come up to that point and they never move through that for fear of it means I'm going to hate mom.
Well, yeah, and I still have this thing that happens in my mind when I think about my part that embodies my mom's character, Martha, and keep separated out from my actual mother. You know what I mean? It's like they get blurred and confusing and whatever. And so as I'm beating on him, I'm beating on Martha, who is my mom's voice that invalidates me
No,
or
but I
has
think
all
there's
the
a part,
excuses.
right there's, I think a part that so wanted your mother's approval. Any kid,
Yeah.
it would be modeling, but no, I think as you're doing that, it's separating out.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll probably happen more and more. Because I do that with my dad and David, grandma, grandpa, Greta, and Gerald. It's like they get all muddied up. And I'm like,
And she may want a different name.
yeah. Well, you mean Martha?
Mhm.
That is her new name. So
Oh, I'm sorry.
maybe,
Okay.
yeah, I was just calling her mom.
Yeah. But it,
Oh, maybe that is, yeah, maybe that is her part name that's old. Okay.
so she may even want a different name to distance herself just a little bit.
Okay. All right.
Well, let me pray.
Okay.
My
Thank
word.
you.
Lord, thank you once again that Diane and I can work together. Lord, thank you for even what just happened here during the session, that truth came up. Lord, thank you for Tripp and his honesty. Lord, thank you that we know that you were a man of sorrows and acquainted with the deepest and bitterest of grief. That you ultimately were alone as well. And there were times that your own mom compromised. Allowed your brothers to come and they were going to take you to have you locked up in a psych hospital in essence. So showing us that if push comes to shove, we have to be willing to look at our own family members, even our own parents, and just speak truth. Lord, thank you also that your grace is sufficient as far as covering those things that we do. And so we know that Diana's mother is with you, and we'll trust that she arranged for today, that she wants Diana free, and that she has come to terms with her responsibility, and she has felt the guilt of that. And so we'll trust that she wants Diana free. She's rooting for this to be able to get all the anger out, all the stuff out. Thank you that she finally did step up and take the daughters away, take the sisters away, Diana and her sisters. So thank you that she did the right thing finally. But I'm still working through now all the stuff that she could have prevented. Lord, thank you for the healing process, your commitment to us, and just continue to bring up truth for Diana so she can continue to heal. Thank you for the trailblazing work that she's doing by putting out the videos now. Lord, use those strategically to open eyes and free the prisoners. And continue to work on Chris. Lord, even as we're praying right now, be working on him. Continue to soften that frozen tundra of his heart. Right, so that he can finally work through even what you're bringing to his mind, all the blood in the air and the body parts. So let's continue your deep work in him. And we'll trust that there's a next chapter for Diana and Chris together. So we'll continue to believe you for that. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Welcome.
Oh, so you're praying I was having gas come up.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm feeling probably 80% better. So that's good.
Well, you're doing a tremendous job, Diana, honestly.
Thank you. I feel like crap right now.
Hey, well,
I'll get there. I'll get there.
well, in the interim, if something comes up, email me or text me, but
I will. Thank you.
we'll plan on next week.
Okay. Have a good weekend.
Talk to that.
Okay. Bye.